Hello and good afternoon everybody. As I can't currently travel because I'm actually going into a hospital to have an operation and I have to isolate from large groups of people, I thought rather than just imagining travelling the world somewhere, I would go on a little adventure a little closer to home. I only found this little beauty on Saturday, and today I'm going to take a deep dive, look into the history, go take a look around and look at the grounds. This place looks fantastic. Come along and take a look. Minutes drive from where I live in Northamptonshire is this beautiful historic building. It goes by the name of Holdenby House. So the palace was built in 1583 by Sir Christopher Hatton, Lord Chancellor and favourite of Queen Elizabeth, and it was one of the largest and most magnificent houses in the whole of England, and it was built around two courtyards originally with 123 glass windows. Imagine 123 glass windows in your house. It just would have been absolutely beautiful, and you get to look around these grounds. This was your garden that you could look around. These are the Elizabethan Gardens. These were created in 1980 by a lady called Rosemary Verey. And when she created the garden, she would only use plants that were actually available in the year 1583. So she had to do a lot of research to find out what plants were growing and alive back then to create this beautiful little garden now. In 1647, after Hatton died, the house became the palace of James I and then Charles I after he was defeated in the Civil War. Charles was held here for 5 months during 1647 until Cromwell sent Cornet Joyce with 500 soldiers to remove him from this house. We're going to head down towards the archway now where King Charles I actually was, where he stood while the soldiers came to actually take him away. So this is them. These are the basement arches of the original Palace of Holdenby. It was between the arches just here that Cornet Joyce troops, all drawn up, the 500 of them, where he came to take King Charles from Holdenby in June 1647. And you can stand right there where King Charles I stood as he was, and he questioned Joyce saying, where is your commission? And he said, here is my commission back to the king, excuse me. And then he pointed out to his troops, and King Charles I said, "Oh, 'tis well written." And they left with him. And then King Charles I, he was executed 18 months later, and that was in 1649. So this is Marina. Marina has a very beautiful story of her ancestors, shall we say. So Marina is a white park breed of cattle. They date back to around 2,000 years ago, this breed of cattle came from, and over time the numbers dwindled, and then unfortunately there's only 60 of them left now, 60 of this type of animal left. And so they bought Marina, they brought her back here, and this is now her home in this beautiful grounds here. She's in a little paddock today, but this is normally where she gets to walk around. This is her little back garden. Take a look at this beautiful little cottage, shall we say. Okay, so these original ones, this is a reconstruction. It was actually built in 1989. It's a reconstruction, but these once upon a time are from in the 17th century, and they were built by crooks basically, and the roofs were built with a simple A-frame. The floor was just dirt. There was no carpets or anything back then, so it was just basically dirt on the ground, and the walls were made of straw, clay and cow poo. So that's how they made like their bricks, shall we say. And then the roof is made of wooden shingle, and that was just taken from local trees around the area here, and it was basically where all the peasants lived as well. So you kind of, if you imagine living here back then, so this was your little house, and then you got to turn around and you got to see that magnificent palace, or what's left of it now. That was your view, so it must have been quite upsetting for them, really. This was their home and that was theirs. It's two sides of a coin, really, isn't it? The rich folk and the not so rich folk. So this lovely little pond here, and you'll see that it's got this here. There was a lovely statue on here, and then on the 29th of April this year, some people managed to drive down through the night. I don't know how they did it, and they actually stole this statue. So if you ever see it, you'll know where its home belongs to. Some people, you just can't have nice things anymore, and some people are just so disrespectful. It really is horrible. So this now is Holdenby House. I say this is all it is, but this all it is now. It used to be built around 2 square courtyards in like a figure of 8, shall we say, and it was knocked down, it was rebuilt, it was then refurbished again, then it was knocked down more, then it was rebuilt. So the gardens which we're walking on now, this is actually like the remains of where all the old palace used to be, in that figure of 8 all the way around. I'll pop a little video up just here so you can actually see the shape of what it actually was way back then. It's absolutely spectacularly beautiful. I cannot doubt that for a moment. I've just heard, like on the little speakers what are playing, there is actual birds of prey here, and there is going to be a show shortly. I don't know if I'm going to be in time to film any of them, but I will take a look. There's also a little, like an animal menagerie, where I know that they've got hedgehogs and they've got toads and they've got an eel, which I don't like, so I'm going to take a look in those as well. Hello, Mr. Owl. Hello. Can you say hello for me? Woo! Woo! So that's Roscoe's little house. Okay, he is a European eagle owl, and they are one of the largest owls in the world, and he does get to go out and fly every day. They do let him out to play, but it says that you can't go near him because his talons are so strong that if he actually gets hold of you with his talons have as much force as a great white shark. So it's definitely something that you do not want to be messing with. So in the falconry area, there is quite a lot of birds of prey that they've got, but I wanted to talk again about European eagle owls. You'll have seen them, they've got like their ears up here on the head. Well, they're not actually ears, they're just feathers. And their ears on the owls are actually pretty much the same place ours are. So there's the owl's ears, and these are just fake feathers. Not only do they have birds of prey, but they have my favourite, tortoises as well. So this view doesn't look very big. Let me just turn the camera around for you. I've just seen a little sign, so I have to whisper. They actually give like little insects away for kids to keep as pets. So they've got giant hissing cockroaches. Let me just bring for you there. No, thank you. However, they've also got, you probably won't be able to see these very well because these are very well camouflaged. These are giant bud wing stick insects, and these are also free. I won't actually touch them, but from, you can see here, right there, that's one. That's got to be at least 9 inches now. I'm a bloke, so 9 inches to me may be completely different to another person's 9 inch. It does remind me of my mum, God rest her soul, right? When we were kids, I used to have stick insects, and she thought, oh, they haven't moved for days. They haven't moved. So while I was at school, my mum thought they'd all died, so she actually threw them into the fire. She didn't know, and she could actually hear them squealing while they were on the fire. So yes, that's my past experience with stick insects. But yeah, my better half doesn't know that they're giving them away for free, and I'm sure Trevor wouldn't mind a couple of friends. There is actually a church here in the grounds of Holdenby. However, for us to see the church, we all now have to go back in time to Saturday when I found it, and I did actually make some videos then, so I'm going to show you all of them now, and then at the end we'll come back to where we are today, if that makes sense. Hello. Hello. Come on. Sir Christopher Hatton, who actually was involved in this church, and he was the Lord Chancellor to Queen Elizabeth I, and he built a dwelling over there. So he took everybody there towards it. So this church is now actually just classed as an isolated church. It sits alone in the countryside with just like a pond outside. It's still open to the public. It is beautiful and it is still used to this day for services, but they are very rare. So this area here is the organ chamber. The organ chamber. I can't say organ chamber, can I? Seems like a regular occurrence with old churches that there were churches here before these churches, for example. So there was actually another church here before this one, but there is no actual evidence, there's no remains of it, apart from one single document which is inside, which has a date on there from a rector who was here from 1222. So that's the bit what really does excite me, just to think how beautiful this is, but there was something here before it with no evidence, but there is evidence. So that's what I like my brain to think, is what was here before this beautiful old church was here. You've probably never paid any attention to it when you go into a graveyard, but these are in every church, okay? Well, in the churchyard, you see them dotted always in a line, and they're called yew trees, Y-E-W. And these trees are believed to ward off all evil spirits from the graveyards and from the church grounds. And that myth or legend goes back a very, very long way. Well, I hope you've enjoyed having a look at Holdenby Estate with me. I am actually quite surprised that it's so close to where I live. It has been beautiful to walk around, and seeing the church on Saturday. The grounds are beautiful, it's free parking, the staff are wonderful, you get to see all the lovely little animals. Lastly, I must say, as you know, people who do know me, I do not like seeing animals in captivity unless there is for some conservation reason. However, these animals here, all the birds of prey, were actually bred in captivity, so unfortunately they could never be released. So that is why they're all here. And with regards to the other ones, the fox, Roxy, it was quite sad to see, but Roxy, she was caught from the wild by a family, and before her eyes were even open, they brought her into their family home with dogs. So that poor little fox can never, ever be released. She has to stay with this house now, should we say, for the rest of her life. You are allowed to pay to go and do expeditions where you get to pet her, because she's really friendly, and it's £20 per person. You can do it for 15 minutes, but you have to book it online as well. Again, some people will think that it's cruel. However, because Roxy grew up with humans, she needs the interaction with humans still, because otherwise she will become very lonely. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been lovely to go right back into history to King Charles I, which is on my doorstep. I'm very, very, very happy with what I've seen today, and I hope that you will come and find it in Northampton, in Northamptonshire, in England. Take care. Love you. Bye.